Welcome to Left Night with Kendra Dawsey. Here's your host, Kendra Dawsey.
Hi, hey Zach, how's it going?
Great. I'm still riding the high off of our special inauguration coverage from yesterday.
Yes, yeah, we had a great inauguration special yesterday. We watched the inauguration together. We debated whether Joe Biden or Donald Trump would be better at giving head, and I think that's what we really need to unite the nation right now. You know, like
I feel united already. Oh, I already feel a greater sense of unity.
Yeah, I feel just like unified with everyone, like the Borg. Everything's going great. I'm so optimistic. It's going great. Great.
Couldn't be better. Could we ask for it to be better? I don't know.
I feel like it's good enough. Racism ended, right? Racism 2016 to 2020. It's over now. It's fine.
Yeah. Yes, we thought we killed it in 2008, and then it came back a little bit, but now we're pretty sure, it's dead this time.
It's dead this time. It certainly is. Speaking of that, sorry.
What's on your mind this week?
So one thing that's on my mind this week is, of course, Mr. Joe Biden. He is officially president of the United States. The QAnon prophecy has not come true, and Kamala Harris is vice president. Of course, there is the slight chance that the 19th Amendment is actually null and void. So because of that, Joe Biden is actually a cyborg lizard pedophile, and Trump is still president. But I feel pretty confident not counting Telegram screenshots as a truth. January 20th was a complicated day for many Americans. Some expressed joy, some expressed grief, and some pointed out that we still have a lot of work to do to heal our divided nation. There's a lot that's on everyone's mind in the shadow of Trump's presidency, but what I would like to know myself is, when could I start complaining about Joe Biden? All right, when? I just want to know when. Since Biden won the Democratic Party nomination last year, many people were told that any criticism of Crime Bill Biden would actually be helping Trump, and that wasn't the appropriate time. Then, after he officially won the presidency, before the Senate runoffs in Georgia, people were told it would hurt the chances of getting a majority in the Senate. And now Biden has been in office for 30 hours, and I just want to complain a little bit, Sure, Biden acknowledges that we are in a pandemic, and that is a sane response. We are living in a world where the Twitter accounts of politicians who died from COVID-19 downplay COVID-19. That being said, the Democratic Party has already made some concessions. Where's my $2,000, Joseph Robinette? And his constant calls for unity with fascists and QAnon conspiracy theorists seems to not be helping the nation heal. It is Left Nite's position that it's always fine to criticize any politician, especially in this dump of a nation, and especially the President of the United States. They are a member of the ruling class who has disproportionate power over the lives of millions of people. They run the biggest imperialist state in the world, and you don't have to hand anything to them. You get to complain about them all the time. So yes, even after that stimmy hits your bank account, demand more. Tell Joe Biden to abolish ICE and defund the police. Push him towards having a more aggressive climate policy. Tell him to do something about those kids in cages. It's legal, fun, and it's the right thing to do to expand the political imaginary. In Biden's own words, nothing will fundamentally change in this new era. And that's really only true if we let it happen. Trump was only a symptom of the many things wrong with America, and millions of his followers remain. But no matter what happens, we must remember a better world is possible. Thank you, and we'll come back after this brief word from our sponsors. So here at Left Nite, we care a lot about the health of the community. There's a lot of issues around food and accessibility to food, food justice issues, food apartheid, the fact that Black and brown people in this country disproportionately do not have access to healthy food. So because of these issues, we've decided to partner with a local chain to start a new initiative to put one whole olive in every Big Mac meal from now on. I think that it's going to be really helpful for the community, and there's going to be a lot of possibility with that. So we just want to say thank you, local chain, and have a great night. All right, man, that was such a great message from someone who definitely is not me.
That's how you know that this show's going places, when you get sponsors like that.
Yeah, I really am going to appreciate that olive in every Big Mac meal. Oh, we have an olive hater. That's dang. Okay. So I guess we can't please everyone, no matter what we do. All right. I think olives are personally valid. So we're mixing up the Left Nite kind of usual layout tonight. Today we are joined by a very special guest. We have decided to break out into actual interviews with people. Of course, we're going to do interviews with people on the ground. So today we are joined by the member of Google's new Alphabet Workers Union. That is Alex Gorowara. Hi, welcome, Kendra. Alex.
Hi, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So we, of course, are just going to talk about the union. But first thing we're going to do is I'm just wondering, how many of our unread emails have you read? Because I do have a lot in my Gmail account.
So on the one hand, there are rigorous protections that stop me from accessing your emails and monitoring systems that would make sure I got fired if I tried. But on the other hand, I just want to say, apropos of nothing, coupons expire, and people might want to do something about that. Just a general life tip.
You're so right. Yeah. There are some coupons I probably have in there that I could probably use.
Yeah. Thank you for not calling me out for what the coupons are for. I appreciate that discussion. Very professional.
Yeah. And sometimes I just
Fully
need a
secondary.
fancy serum from Ulta, and that's completely fine.
Absolutely.
So
Treat yourself.
thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about the history of the Alphabet Workers Union. What made you decide to start organizing?
So the Alphabet Workers Union started, sort of the inciting event was the firing of 4 folks in Thanksgiving of 2019. They're known as the Thanksgiving Four. They were trying to organize internally to gather information and make a case for some more ethics in Google and Alphabet. And for that trouble, they were fired. Since then, the NLRB has sort of confirmed what a lot of folks at Alphabet already knew, already believed, that in at least some cases, this firing was based on illegal worker surveillance, and the firings themselves were not legal because they were retaliation for protected concerted activity. Basically, you even if there's, regardless of whether or not there's a union, there are some things you can't fire people for, and one of them is talking about their working conditions and trying to make their workplace better. And even before that, we have a long history of people at Google and at Alphabet being invested in the ethics of their work and how their company treats their coworkers, from the discussion over the mandated use of real names back in the early 2010s, how long ago that seems, to the women's walkout in 2018 over pay inequality and systemic sexism sparked by the 90 million payout to an executive credibly accused of sexual harassment.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So there's definitely, it sounds like there's definitely been like a lot of things happening that you wanted to find some sort of way to fight against, and then the union kind of came together.
Yes, and part of that is finding the safety to fight in the first place, because again, as we saw folks get fired, as we saw their careers get derailed, as we saw them get sidelined and retaliated against, we realized that we would need something more than a one-off spark. We would need a way of organizing and protecting each other, and that's what this union is. It's a continuation and a protection of that long tradition of ethical worker activism.
Great. Awesome.
Right. And I always talk whenever I talk to people about like unionism and labor, I always tell them you can't get fired for talking about a union. They'll do it, but it's still illegal.
Exactly. And in fact, that's why we have some of the time we have. So we announced on January 4th that we were a union. We went public with a little over 200 members, but we have been organizing for over a year before that, with one-on-one conversations, going very slowly, making sure that we didn't draw too much attention until we had that strength in numbers. And since our announcement, the last numbers I have is that we've grown over 4-fold. So we now have over 800 members.
That's great.
Just because we're able to speak openly and broadcast our message.
Now,
awesome.
my understanding is, and I don't know a ton about it, but this Alphabet Workers Union is a minority union, which I believe is different than a bargaining union. What exactly is the difference?
So there's a couple levels on which to answer that, and the snappy one is our power derives from our work, not from any specific law. A bargaining union and a unit recognized by the National Labor Relations Act is a very specific legal construct. It's definitely got its place and it's got a lot of power, but it is really just something that exists under a specific law. A minority union doesn't necessarily adhere to that structure, but instead says, instead of relying on the law, we're going to rely on our power as workers, as the folks who make Alphabet run, to sort of get us a seat at the table. Instead of having the government say, you must bargain with these people, we are saying, you must talk to us. You must engage us in a dialogue because we make up the company. And this has allowed us to do a couple things that we think are really important. One of them is going public and starting and taking action, even though we don't have a majority of the company. That's where the minority union comes from, that term. But it's also allowed us to include all Alphabet workers. So there's a reason that we're called the Alphabet Workers Union instead of the Alphabet Full-Time Employees Union. And that's because more than half the folks who work at Alphabet, at its various companies, are temps, vendors, and contractors, people who may not have a permanent employment with Google or another alphabet company. And those are often the folks who are not treated as well, who don't enjoy the same benefits that full-time employees do. And even if they did, they are still more than half the workers of the company. By making our union a minority union, by declining to go with this specific legal construct of a bargaining union, we're able to include them, even though Alphabet or Google may not be the names on their pay stubs.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And so we did have a question in the chat that I think was already clarified. Someone asked, it's not a dumb question, Rachel. What is Alphabet and why is it important to Google? CMAC 390 said that Alphabet is a big, giant umbrella corporation that owns Google and YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So with some clarification. So YouTube is still a part of Google. Google is a part of Alphabet.
Okay.
Alphabet was created in 2015 when Google said, we want to make our balance sheet pretty, basically. So it took all the things that were like really out there, like the self-driving car unit, like the project distribute internet via balloons, all of that stuff, and said, these are separate companies. When we report our balances, we're going to say, here's what Google, the moneymaker, did, and here's what all this other exploratory stuff did. And some people regard Alphabet as really just sort of an accounting fiction by Google. But the fact of the matter is there are people who work for these other companies, and we want to make sure that they're included. So we actually had a discussion about this. We went with Alphabet Workers Union over Google Workers Union, because regardless of whether or not Alphabet is an accounting fiction, not everybody in the union works for or at Google, and we want to make sure, again, that these folks are included.
That's great. Great, thank you. Are there any demands that you are currently making as the Alphabet Workers Union? So
not currently, because we are aiming to make a democratic union, where we're not saying, oh, here's a union, here are its positions. If you join, you must agree with these positions. No, we're going to talk to our members, and we're going to poll our members. We're going to figure out what's important and act on that. And part of the complication is going public. Like I said, we have grown tremendously over the past few weeks. So making a decision about what our priorities are now, or even having done that 2 weeks ago, if we'd done that, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to involve hundreds of people in the conversation who are now part of the union or who may soon be. I anticipate that we're going to be reacting to all of this new input as we bring more and more people in for a while. And at some point, something will come up that has enough momentum behind it, or maybe there will be some outside event. Right now, we are keeping an eye on sort of the sidelining of one of the workers involved in supporting Dr. Timnit Gebru, a Black AI researcher who was fired just a few weeks ago, pretty unceremoniously and with a kind of flimsy pretense. But right now, we don't have any outstanding demands.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you know, now I know the answer to this question, and you sort of addressed it as well. But I kind of want to just set you up for this one to just hit a little softball here. But there are some people who will say things like, "Oh, these Google employees, they're well paid. They got slides and ping pong tables at the work and whatnot." They, you know, unions are for people who are getting their hands dirty, and unions are people working in coal mines. What do these privileged little tech workers need a union for? And how do you respond to that straw man?
Yeah, so that is absolutely a question that I've run across before. Not those exact words may be a straw man, but the sentiment is definitely present in real life. And there are a couple answers to this. One, as I've mentioned before, is that this is a union for all Alphabet workers, including the temps, the vendors, the contractors, the folks who are not in situations that you think of when you think of, you know, a full-time Google employee who is a software engineer and making a lot of money in a high-demand field. It's interesting that you mentioned coal miners specifically, because we actually have seen this sort of discussion on Twitter, and I actually just happened to run across United Mine Workers responding to this saying, let me pull up the tweet. We believe every worker, regardless of what they do, has a right to organize a union where they work, period. They represent thousands of workers who do not work in mines. Unions aren't just for blue collar workers. And that sort of support, I think, is because regardless of the material benefits, there is still a power structure in place where executives have this tremendous advantage over the workers unless the workers are united. And we see this in cases like the case of the Thanksgiving 4, in the case of Dr. Gebru, where the workers in general are often treated very well until they become inconvenient, until they aren't treated well, until they start speaking up and having hard discussions and asking hard questions. So even if every Alphabet worker were paid fantastically, there is still a place for a union because there is still a need to defend these rights, to speak up about our workplace and to be able to speak to each other and have this conversation without fear of retaliation.
So you're not satisfied when Google just says, "Oh, we won't be evil."
Yeah, I'm not satisfied by that. And in fact, they haven't been saying that. We officially dropped the "don't be evil" from a lot of documents a while ago, and in some places it's now replaced by "do the right thing." But you're
Very
right. We're not
spiky
just going to take them at their word.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we have a few questions from our viewers at home. Thank you all. So Buff Wellington asked, and my apologies if you hinted at this earlier, did you face any backlash and or resistance from management in the process of forming the union?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And the answer is none so far. As I said, we have been organizing mostly individually, doing one-on-one contacts for over a year. So we think that before January 4th, before they reached out for comment, Alphabet really had no idea what was going on. And since then, we haven't really gotten a response from them. They haven't pushed back against us. We think that their strategy so far is to just see if we go away. They're going to wait and see if we lose momentum, and I'm here to say that we're not. We're picking up steam, and we're going to be here because we do care about this. And if they don't engage with us for a while, then, well, that just gives us more time.
Yeah.
And then I want to really quick hit this other question that just came in that I really like. Have other like tech company workers reached out to the Alphabet Union and asked for like tips or like talked about, wanting to unionize their own workplaces?
So we haven't, to the best of my knowledge, we haven't gotten that sort of outreach directly. We've gotten interest. We haven't gotten a formal outreach. But as the first big tech company, not the first tech company, we've taken examples from other unions, such as the union at Kickstarter. We're in sort of a groundbreaking position. But I'd also like to note that the organizing was not just us. That what happened in 2019 when we decided, hey, we need a union, was not we decided to build one from scratch ourselves. It's we reached out to the Communication Workers of America and said, we know that you've been doing this for a while. You've got this campaign to organize digital employees, code, and we want to be in on that. We want to learn your organizing techniques. So if anyone in these comments is just asking for a friend, perhaps, I would say reach out to the Communication Workers of America, because they have done a great job helping us through these early steps in this formation, and they're still helping us succeed even now.
All right. Well, before we let you go, we have a little fun game that we want to play based on.
We're all about games here.
Based on one of the iconic parts of Google that everybody knows, and that's homepage doodles. So we're going to do a couple of them with you, and I want to know what springs to mind for you.
All right.
So the first one we have here is the 2020 Labor Day Google. So we got some workers doing jobs.
Yep.
Yeah. A baker.
There's a lot going on here.
I don't know if they think that there's a job that somebody just turns a wheel, but it looks industrial.
Yeah.
Wheel turner, obviously, it's what runs the country. You turn some wheels.
Well, you've also got the rolling pin right there. It can't be safe to have those two in close proximity.
Well,
yeah, probably isn't.
OSHA is not involved here. Also, I think the G there is supposed to be a doctor with a stethoscope. If your doctor holds a stethoscope that way, I don't know about that doctor.
They're stylish. It's a flourish. I think they've still got it pointed in the right direction, which is really what matters.
All right, let's see what 2019's looks like now. Okay.
This is very it's giving me some cubism teas, like I can't really read the letters unless I concentrate, which I'm into.
Yeah.
But again, we've got a baker.
Yeah.
But again, next to something industrial.
Yeah. It seems like they're directly referring to all types of jobs that are not as much at Google.
Yeah, well, it's easy to represent. You've got someone sitting at a computer. You don't know if they're working for Google or searching weird things on the internet or gaming or whatever. But this is what people think works look like.
Okay, let's see what we got next. All right, so this one is I read was WPA, Works Progress Administration, inspired. So they really do it up nice. For everything else, you can call it performative, but they really do it up nice for Labor Day.
Yeah.
I will note, I can read the word, that's a huge plus.
Very true.
Very easy to read.
And then what do we got next? We got these are.
All right.
This is the first one that I actually saw in the description. This is the only Labor Day that I believe that they explicitly mention unions leading to higher wages in their explanation of Labor Day.
Okay.
So
all right.
If you want to get them on this one, they wrote it there quick before they delete it.
All right. I'll make sure to jump on that one.
Yeah, I also see some girl bosses. I'm sure there were other in the other ones, but that's explicitly a bun. It could be a man bun. Maybe I am being presumptuous, but I get girl boss vibes.
There's definitely at least some femme presentations here.
Yes. Yeah.
And then let's do one more.
Okay.
This one is funny to me because there are not enough workers for the number of letters. They have automated jobs in the Google Doodle.
Well, that's what you've got. The person on the left is at the computer. That's the person automating all the other jobs away.
Okay.
Just all the folks who are enjoying a 20-hour work week and taking free time, I think.
Yes, I like to think that it's a good type of automation. I like. It. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Do you want to just plug the where people can find out more about the Alphabet Workers Union?
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at Alphabet Workers. At Alphabet Workers. You can also see our website at alphabetworkersunion.org, or you could just Google it, because I think you'll have a lot of luck that way.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex, for talking with us. This has been great. And we'll get back to you after this quick commercial break.
All right. Thank you.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Biden. My name is Zach. I am from Allston, Massachusetts. I'm 30 years old, and this is my audition to read one of my famous slam poems at your inauguration. I hope you like this. I couldn't find where you were asking for audition tapes, so I just sent this to your home. So I hope you enjoy this. So now listen here, Jack. America is back. We got a new prez who's friends with Barack. That old POTUS, we made him pack, 'cause he was whack. But this new one likes to travel by Amtrak, and he's okay with you if you want to go and frack. And he'll keep a sensible number of troops in the country of Iraq. And he's a polite guy. He won't attack. And if his first 100 days aren't very good and they're kind of underwhelming, hey, cut him some slack. And he said that if you won't vote for him, then you might not be black. And he's somewhat responsible for the disparity in sentencing between powder cocaine and crack. But that's all in the past. Forget it. Relax. I mean, this is me, your friend, the famous poet Zach. I'm not some kind of political hack. So if there's something out there that you lack, let him know. He'll help you out, Mac. So that's the story of my friend Joe from Delaware. And if you didn't know it before, well, now you're well aware. But don't ask him too much to do more for health care. That's all I've got right now. I'm still working, but I hope you liked it, Joe, and I hope you send me a lot of checks. Thank you.
All right, wow, that was some incredible poetry. That was giving me some nasty.
I did not know that got released. I'm very
strong commitment to a rhyming scheme. I will give you that.
It was on Hunter Biden's laptop, obviously. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. Stay tuned for Quarantine Action Wrestling. That is coming up right after this. So long and have a good night.
Bye.